I found 7 issues or items, if you want to call it that, that we don't pay attention to, that need to be paid attention to. You cannot say I want to increase my business, so let's advertise more. That doesn't work. Advertising is a tool, no more than or less than this pen is to write. It's a tool. What makes advertising work is what you have behind it in terms of what are you trying to achieve. Well, when I say that, okay, I have that goal stand, okay, I know that, I have to have goals. So my advertising goal is to do this. That's fine, but what is your objective here? And you know there's 7 issues that you need to pay attention to, and one is image. Now let's think about employees, think about customers. Now let's talk about image. Image is how I feel about you. Don't worry about what I think about you. It has nothing to do with it whatsoever. It's what I feel about you. That's the image part. I can know a whole lot about any business in here. If I don't feel good about you, I'm not going to come to you. That's image. All right? That's clear enough. The second one is identity. Identity is how you are recognized by your employees, by the public, so forth and so on. How am I recognized? So, what am I known for? What is the name of this company? You know, if this company name is ABC Zinc, okay, I can live with the label. I can have some really nice great signs to go along with that. I can do some blocks and put ABC on it and do it in silver neon or whatever the heck it is, and print out uniforms and business cards, whole 9 yards. That's one way to do it. But what if I come to any one of you and ask you to tell me what your company is in one statement? Could you give me one statement, 7, 8 words or less, of what your company is? Anybody? Raise your hand. Well,
today I've learned that it's reliability, dependability, and service.
Okay. But I'm going to ask you this. How many employees do you know in your company that will give you the same statement?
Most of them are related to me, Stan.
Well, that's good, because I still want to know. This is a real good test.
I like to think they're thinking like I am. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
You like to think that they would say the same thing. We, the owners,
sure.
We can sit down and say, hey, look, this is it. If you don't have a statement that when the phone picks up, they're giving something different than what you would think of, you got a problem. It's no different than me having 5 trucks, each painted a different color, with the same name on it, but in different type. Everywhere I go with those 5 trucks, it's going to appear to be 5 different companies. Because there's no uniformity. Wait a minute, what is it? It's a blue truck, so I'll pick on you, but they're in the air conditioning. No, the next one's red, they're in the heating. This multicolored one, I don't know what they do. That's what we do. If you want to test yourselves, go back, pull out your business cards, pull out pictures of your trucks, your building, you lay it all down in front of you, and see if there's any consistency there. If you don't have consistency, you probably appear to be a lot of different companies to folks. And that's where you get, I didn't know you sold. I didn't know you did. Because your identity is not clear. If you were to ask me, my company is Stanley is a marketing support development company serving small businesses. We have a mission statement. I was one person in my bedroom at my condo, and I decided that I'm going to act like a big company because I understand the problems of small businesses. They don't have clear identity. So I'm going to have my identity written out, and I'm going to have my vision statement written out, and I'm going to have my mission statement, and I'm going to sit here and put flow charts and these things together, and I'll see if I can grow to meet these things. But when I go out consistently, I can tell that story. It's been 12 years, and the statement has not changed. The other one is awareness. If you have a problem with image, You have a problem with identity, you got a problem with awareness. Awareness means, how much do I know about you? How much does my customer know about me? How much does the public, the market that I'm trying to get, know about me? If they're asking, or if they're surprised when you say you do this, that, and the other, they don't know you very well. And there's not a person in this room probably would not say, or would say, everybody in this room would probably say that they know their customers. Do you know your customers well? I always find small businesses close personal. That's the big advantage. Doesn't work that way. Remember I said small high growth companies, laying your books down in front of people, sharing ideas, this, that kind of, so that sort of thing. How many people know the plans of their customers? If it's retail, it's a little bit different. You have to do some different types of thinking about that. How many people in a business-to-business type of a business operation really know what the plans of their customers are? I have found time after time after time after time where a business is working with the customer a number of years inside the company, and that company will still go outside, get someone else to do a service that that company that was there inside was doing all the time. And they knew the customers. Gotta educate them. One thing about advertising and promotional materials, brochures, flyers, and things like that, we all like to tell about the great, wonderful things that we do. Check to see if you're telling the right story. You may be telling a good story, but it may not be the right story. The story that your customers need to know. Your prospects, potential customers need to know. Your employees need to know. That's where the awareness comes in. You gotta make these people aware of their things and provide value to them. There's customer support. Different from awareness in one sense that it only focuses on customers. We all provide a good service. I love talking about this one. Anybody in here that has not been in their field more than 10 years? Everybody's been about 10 years, maybe? Okay. Would you say that's a lot of experience? I would say it's a lot of experience. How many been in business, this industry that you're in, more than 15 years? Raise your hand. 20. Masters. You Jedis, right? These are the guys. 20 years. You could write books on this stuff. Right? I'm sure you can. Absolutely positive. When it comes to customer support, you probably don't use but gain much in that experience. And what I mean by that is you provide a service and you let your business ride on your reputation and you get referrals. But you have 20 years of experience. You can write books. There's probably not a person in this room between the 10 and 20 years experience that could not get a job out there as a consultant and survive. If you were looking at the number of years experience that you have. If there were schools for your trade, should be professors. If Thomas Edison would entertain trades like that, you can probably get degrees for this stuff. But do you use it to educate your customers? To provide the extra value to your business? You got a great product, you got a great service. That's great, they're paying you for that. We know that. That's why you're in business. But how much extra value is being held back because you don't look at your experience holding that much weight? I mean, real experience. I'm not talking about somebody that kind of just like Bob has sons and stuff like that, so they're close to him and they ask him the questions. I mean, we're not talking about that. I mean, real experience. You've been there from start to finish.
Sometimes it's too much for a customer.
Well, they can tell you that. That's their choice. The value is still there. See, the point is, there's value. So why do we have a hard time with advertising and making it work? Oh, it's because we're not taking that value and all that experience and putting it into the advertising to tell the right story. Back on that track. The story we want these folks to know. Give them the extra value. When I say marketing is ultimately service, does that mean that I can have a crappy ad nobody can read? Does it? No. That's a disservice. Does it mean to tell the customer something about my business that has no value? No. That's a disservice. So how do we create value? How do we make an ad provide value? Be a service. There's good information. The information has value to it. It's communicated well and looks attractive. Would you think that's good service? An ad can provide service. Absolutely. If I gave you a book, a textbook, and the type was like this big, you had to use a magnifying glass, and it was that thick, hardbound, no title on it, just gray, and I had it, you said, read it, would you read it? I probably would pay you. I'm sure you pay me, maybe flip through the pages, no pictures, on him. You're making it worse, man. But if I give you that same book with nice type illustrations, good informative index, nice glossy cover, full color, very attractive, you probably would.
Okay, how does that affect me?
Why? Because one is providing value. You have someone that's making me do something else. It's not adding to my makeup, the values that I have. Now I'm going to talk about direct response too. Direct response is another one of these 7. Direct response to the norm means like direct mail. 800 number. Oh, that's not what I'm talking about. Let's get that out of the way. When I say direct response, I mean the focus on when someone calls you or asks you a question, the ability to give a direct, prompt, practical, intelligent response. My employee down here on the bottom of the ladder gets the call, and they put the person on hold. Call over here because they don't have the answer. He gets put on hold. Go over here. Finally gets to you. Now, don't you know this? Then it goes right back down. Meanwhile, I'm sleeping on the other end going, geez, man, I think maybe I'll let them call me back. Direct response is important in business. That same employee gets that call and says, I can tell you this, give me a few moments, I'll get back to you with the rest of the information. That's a direct response. That's a direct response. Something that you don't hear about, people don't talk about, and don't ask any professors or marketing graduates either, because it's something that I instructed in small business. But it's important for people to know enough without giving prompt, direct responses, because you turn a customer off, or a potential customer off. And it doesn't look good in front of the boss either. If you're supposed to know your job, you can't give a direct response that has any kind of value to it. You gotta pay attention to those things. And you backtrack now and talk about the small hydro company and being able to educate your customers, educate your employees. Now you see why it's important. Because they cannot give those kinds of direct responses if you don't make these people knowledgeable enough, practical enough in the application, how to do these things, and where to get the information. I see major marketing programs go out where calls come flooding in, and they fail. They'll put the companies under because they didn't do the right things. And the direct response was one of them. How do I handle it when all the lights in the phone lit up? They couldn't do it. Question was asked, and all of a sudden the customer was, I know, I've been through it. These people don't know what you're talking about. First thing that came out of their mouth, not the right direct response. And they don't, my mind says, they don't know what they're doing. I know you've been there. It may be happening in your own company. Sales support is another thing. When I talk about sales support, I have to kind of chin up on that one. I'm not a salesperson by trade or anything like that. I have very little experience in selling in the traditional sense. But what I found in working with salespeople over the years is they're really getting the sham. Because if you have the need for salespeople, and you set the criteria for these salespeople, and you or someone under your wing hires that salesperson because they're good and they fit the needs of this company, they're probably good. They're probably darn good because they have met that criteria. What happens when a salesperson goes sour on you, I found, is not the salesperson. Because they'll go somewhere else and do very well. It's sales support. They don't get good literature. They don't get the good training on what the company does, what values it offers. Anyone in here will argue with the point, will anyone in here argue with the point that a salesperson is as good as his tools? Anybody think that's not true? You give me the right stuff, give me a few days in your office, show me all the ropes, all the tricks to get to a customer, and load me up with some stuff, I'll be pumped. And I'll go out there and tell you some, I'll bring some business in for you. But the support better be there. If I go out there and I don't know exactly what this company is described as identity, if I go out there and I feel that the image is not really, I don't know, what am I supposed to project? I got a problem. And if my literature looks like it came from, the Sunday paper, a salesperson is not going to be awesome. He's not going to sell. If you do all the right things in terms of image, identity, awareness, customer support, and you hire that great salesperson, he doesn't have to sell. Now he's a service rep. Because the selling was done. He's going in and closing the deal. IBM was famous for it at one time. Why? Because they shipped their people all the way up to New York. They spend all these weeks in there training these folks. They do all this high-power promotion stuff. The guy walks the door and says, I'm IBM. They say, I'll buy the computer. They don't even ask about price. Today's a little bit different. You know that story. The other point or issue that we don't pay attention to, and this is all very appropriate for small business, is organization development. That's the term that I use. Why? Because it means that I have to look at my organization and actually develop it. Well, a high-growth company is a development company. That means that we're constantly looking at ways to improve our performance in terms of capabilities, machinery, service systems, people's performance, my knowledge of the market, planning. That's what organization development is. I love this. For 20 years in the business, somebody volunteered me to tell me how much training they had prior to, or when they started. Were you getting a lot of training? Anybody come out of trade school training and that sort of thing? Or is it all on the job? Somebody help me. On the job? Anybody on the job training? On the job? Any school training, trade school, any of that background? But anyway, you have 15, 20, 10 years experience in your business. A lot of that's right on the job. Hands-on, right? Is that how you did it? Hands-on? Out of that much time, what percentage of it did you spend learning how to build the business from an organization standpoint?
On a percentage basis, very little.
Very little, that's right.
They don't teach you that.
No, they don't teach you that.
Why would they?
Why would they? It's absolutely right. Absolutely right. But that's why we're here where we are today. And when I say that, I'm saying that in a big way, because the American small business built this country. During the recession, it's been common knowledge that the small business held this country in the position that it's in so that things can get back together. Everybody will tell you that. All the authorities. And small business, because of the nature of big business and global economy, is going to be the core for services to our folks, our families. Local economy is a big thing. If you don't believe me, call your local economic development. They want to fill those vacant stores because houses are popping up. So you're important. And it's never really been like that before. So I know for a fact that things have to change in the small business arena. That's why I'm running around here calling myself a crusader for high and open American small business. Because I know that they're important, small business is important to this country, and more important to local economies, local communities. And who would say that out of 40 years, 20 years, 15 years experience, that I have no need to spend some of my time learning how to meet or adjust to those changes? Are we that subtle in our ways? Because if you don't change it as business owners and you retire, somebody's going to have to deal with that. The condition that we're in now is because they didn't teach it in. The reason why there is no school for small businesses and marketing and small business and management, things that really are hardcore street stuff, is because nobody saw the need. They knew what was right because small businesses, you know, so many years ago, now are the Fortune 500s. And I'll guarantee you that a small business one day will be the leader in this industry. A lot of them. And you know that. And what makes that happen? What we think is too distant from us, the fact that they're Fortune 500 and they're real organized and there's charts. Well, I don't care about the organization charts and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about reality. I'm talking about getting the house in order, knowing your customers, knowing your employees, being able to create value for those folks. If you create value for your customers, if you create value for your employees, you create value for yourself and your business. And it's permanent value. It's not just when the job is done. And if you're running your business based on referrals, well, I can service so many people in a given day. If my business was solely based on referrals, I would have been out of business a long time ago. I didn't do something that I learned a long time ago because I had a couple of businesses. I didn't go out and just try to make it fast. I was so good at promoting that one actually went that way. It lasted about a month and a half. It was so successful in a month and a half, I couldn't meet the demand. I ran out of money. That taught me a big lesson. Staying don't be so good. It also taught me about those things I'm telling you about. Organization development, customer support, you know, and on and on. It's one thing to be good. It's another thing to be smart. And because things are always done a certain way, does not make them right. Because everybody's accustomed to change. And what does change mean? Change doesn't mean that you have to do something different. Change means progress. There's not a person on the face of this earth that doesn't get up the next day looking to do whatever they do better than the day before. Nobody wants to volunteer to have the same problem they had yesterday. I mean, that's obscene. So what we're talking about in general is creating value from the top down. But you have to have some very basic thoughts in going there. Some very basic thoughts. Very basic thoughts. Because they start with the people. And more than that, they start with you. Knowing that you like to go home being able to bring something positive into your house that you gain from work, and in return bring something positive to work and share with folks. That's what the whole thing about the small hybrid company is, and that's how marketing works. When you have all those stories right, You don't have to struggle to write advertising copy. You don't have to look around and say, hey, look, PR folks, I need a story, put me in the paper. Because they'll come to you. Creating value is not a problem. Why should we accept anything less?